Good afternoon, and thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. My name is Patricia Houston, and today is joining us from SCARC, Dr. Richard Lecher. Welcome, Richard.
Thank you very much, Patricia. It's good to be with you.
Thank you for being here with us.
I'm always excited to talk to the general public about SCARC and about all that we do. And we provide a very valuable service to the Sussex County community. And we have been involved in Sussex County since 1957. So this is our 65th year of service to individuals and their families in our county. And of course, like all of the nonprofit organizations, we started out very small and very tiny. We were created by a group of parents who couldn't find any services for their children with disabilities at the time in the late 50s. So they started to create some services together on a volunteer basis. And many parents acted as chaperones or staff in programs. And so it's expanded over the years to now being a very large organization in Sussex County, serving hundreds of people and their families. Now, our mission in Sussex County is to provide high quality services and supports to children and adults with developmental disabilities and their families throughout the county. And I have a map that I'm going to show everyone. And I'm going to try and make sure that you can see the entire map. Here's the map of Sussex County. And on this map is 30 or 35 pins, which show the location of SCARC services that I'll describe. There are we have 22 group homes that we provide for adults with disabilities. We have 8 yellow dots. Those are day programs for adults with developmental disabilities. There's a couple red dots. Those are our offices. And then there's some green dots, which are hard to see on this map, but those are our locations of our Saturday programs for children and for adults, which I'll describe in just a moment. Traditionally, SCARC provided programs for children in the county. Back in the late 50s and 60s, those children of those parents that created our organization, they were children, they were not adults. And so many of them were, they went to school during the day and they wanted to develop recreation programs and things like that. And then through the late 60s, there was one adult center started for some adults that were finished with school. And then they developed, our board at the time developed a preschool program in the Newton area for young children. And so SCARC provided preschool services and early education services to school-age children until about 1982. And in around that time, there were efforts throughout the nation to provide preschool education, and many of our schools in Sussex County decided to bring on preschool education. So we stopped providing that service. But at the same time, we were more interested in beginning to provide group homes and residential services. Our first group home in Newton was opened in 1980. And so since that time, we have now 22 group homes serving about 100 adults with disabilities, with developmental disabilities. And those homes are funded through the New Jersey Division of Developmental Disabilities, or they used to be, but now they're Medicaid funded homes. And so SCARC is a Medicaid provider now for people who are eligible for Medicaid funding. And so of the 22 group homes, all of the group homes are for adults over the age of 21. So all of those people have finished their public school career, and they are now in the community either working or they're attending SCARC day programs, which provide community activities and other kinds of activities in our centers. So we have locations in Hampton and in Sparta and here in Augusta, next door to our office, and also up in Hamburg. So we have 8 locations, and we are providing services on a without COVID interfering with our attendance. We normally provide about 200 adults a day with activities and services. We have a smaller group of adults that are out working in the community, and they work for community businesses in the Sussex County area. We particularly keep our services to the Sussex County jurisdiction. So in each county in New Jersey, there is a similar organization like SCARC called as part of the ARC movement in New Jersey. And so in Warren County, Morris County, Passaic County, there's ARC chapters that provide similar services to what we do. We are all affiliated with the ARC of New Jersey, which has an office in North Brunswick, and we meet together frequently. We compare notes frequently. We work together on task forces and things like that very frequently. Now, in addition to adult programs that we have, we also provide services to children. But since most children are in school during the weekday and during the day, our services now for children are for Saturdays and Sunday activities. So on a Saturday, we might have a program for young children called Just Us Kids. And that's a program for children between maybe 8 years old and 13 or 14 years old. And that meets in our Sparta location. And before COVID, we had 2 of those programs, and we served a number of children, maybe as many as 20-some children every Saturday. And in the Saturday evening period of time, we have what's called a teen scene program in which teenagers meet, and they for activities and for socialization and for sometimes trips and so on into the community. And so those 2 programs were hit hard by COVID because we had to stop that. And many families and parents decided they didn't want their young children to be part of congregate care settings. So we are about to open those programs once again, once we get full staffing in place in September. Now, we've all been hit with staffing challenges, as every business in America has been hit. And so we've had to increase our recruitment of staff and our hiring practices and retention practices. So we're doing fairly well in our day programs and residential programs, but we've had a challenge hiring the Saturday staff, but we're almost there. In addition, on the weekends, we generally have a Saturday bowling program, which is part of our Special Olympics activities. We meet at the Sparta Lanes, and we're going to restart that again in September. And we also have a swimming program at the YMCA up in Hardiston Township, and we use their pool to provide a swimming program on Sundays. And that's going to start in early September as well. And the swimming program is part of Special Olympics competitions, and as is our bowling, and as is some other Special Olympics endeavors that SCARC is sponsoring through the year. And many years we have track and field competitions. We have a powerlifting program that we provide utilizing the Newton High School Powerlifting Center. And so we have been actively involved in Special Olympics with a number of sports and a number of competitions. We're part of the Region 3 of Special Olympics, which is Warren, Sussex, and Morris counties. And so we've had a long tradition of sponsoring Special Olympics activities. Now, there are other Special Olympics teams in the county. For example, Sparta Schools has a team, and Vernon Schools has a team, and some other schools develop teams for certain sports. But in terms of swimming or in terms of bowling, SCARC is the prime provider. Some of our athletes are involved in winter Special Olympics activities like skiing or figure skating or other outdoor winter activities. The Special Olympics utilizes some local ski areas in the county for their skiing competitions for the whole statewide competition. So normally Special Olympics is designed that there's local competitions, then there's regional competitions, and then there's the state competitions. The state swimming and track and field and powerlifting, that happens at the College of New Jersey every June. So SCARC participates with that. Now, our family support program also provides respite services to families. And so we are funded through the Department of Children and Families to provide some respite services for children. And the principle of respite is that you're giving a rest to the family while the worker comes into the home and provides support to the child. So we have some in-home respite programs, which is the principle there is our staff would go into the home. There's another feature of or type of respite called self-hire respite, in which the family is able to employ a worker on their own and provide for support within the family. And SCARC will give grants to the family to pay for that. Actually, the grants flow from the Department of Children and Families to SCARC, and then we provide funds to the families to pay for that. Our Just Us Kids program, located at our Sparta Center on Saturdays, is a type of a respite program in which the families are able to drop off their child for a day's worth of activities or outings or seasonal activities or things like that to take care of the children for maybe 4 hours on a Saturday, and then the family can do some other things that they wouldn't normally be able to do if they're at home taking care of their child. SCARC also provides an extensive array of recreation programs in the community, and we used to have a large group recreation activities, but we've kind of changed our philosophy to be able to encourage smaller recreation activities. For example, within the group homes, if a group home wants to go out on an outing or a trip, our recreation staff will help organize that. We do have some seasonal dances that we provide, which are always popular. And part of our recreation program this summer and for many summers has been our summer experience program for teenagers and young adults. So this summer, as in all past summers, we've been able to provide an 8-week program with 4 two-week sessions for teenagers and young adults. By young adults, we mean maybe people under the age of 25, maybe 20 to 25 years of age. So a lot of these teenagers are still in school. They're in high school programs in their local school district. And we generally have, and this service is free to the family. And we have some foundation grants, which we obtain to pay for all the costs related to the summer experience program. And I have to give a shout out to the German Christmas Market of New Jersey program, because they gave us a grant this year to help pay for the summer experience program, and we're very appreciative for that. But we get some private foundations that like to fund this program. It's a very popular program in which the teenagers are brought to our office here in Augusta and dropped off around 8:30 in the morning. And then they go out on the community and do 2 or 3 activities during the day. They go to museums, they go to art locations, they go to activity locations, fun parks. In the past, we used to go for ride on the Delaware River, raft ride on the Delaware River. We didn't do that this summer, but the teens are engaged in traveling to locations that are of interest to them and age-appropriate activities like Liberty Science Center or other kinds of places. And so they are very active during the day, and then they end their day around 3:30, and then the parents come and or family members come and pick up between 3:30 and 4. So this week is the last week of our 8-week time. So tomorrow is the last day of it, and I'm sure that these teens are going to miss it because they give very positive reviews. The parents give very positive reviews. It's an excellent opportunity for a fun summer for a lot of our teens. And then many of these teenagers will become part of our Teen Scene program beginning in September. SCARC also has expanded in a couple other ways to help families. In 1989, we created a corporation called SCARC Guardianship Services. And it's a part of the SCARC family of services. And it provides legal guardianship to individuals who are over the age of 18. And when a child becomes 18, a child without a disability and in the normal realm of things, they become emancipated and they are now legal adults. Well, that doesn't necessarily happen with a child with severe disabilities because when they become 18, the law requires that a guardian be appointed for them. So most times, parents become the guardian of their adult child. And that's the normal way. But SCARC Guardianship Services can, firstly, can act as a guardian for adults with disabilities where there might not be any family. They can also act as a co-guardian with parents so that some parents worry about what's going to happen when the parents pass away, and some parents choose to have SCARC Guardianship Services be the future full guardian of that individual. SCARC Guardianship Services also assists parents to pursue guardianship on their own in a process called the pro se guardianship process. Pro se meaning you do it on your own, but the court system and the legal system in New Jersey is fairly complicated. And so SCARC Guardianship Services helps many families throughout northern New Jersey. There's 6 counties in northern New Jersey that they work to help families pursue guardianship services on their own. It's been a very valuable service for families. One of the big worries that a family would have is what happens to my child when they become an adult and we pass away. And so SCARC has met that need with providing for future stability and security for a lot of families that have that worry. SCARC also provides, has created a SCARC Foundation, which raises funds for SCARC and for SCARC Guardianship Services. And so there are a lot of fundraising that's done here at SCARC to raise funds to provide services. Now, as I mentioned earlier, all of our group homes and our day programs are paid for by Medicaid funds. And so we don't use fundraising to pay for those services. But fundraising is used to provide for services or activities that state funds are not available for. So, for example, our recreation services are not state funded. So we use our SCARC Foundation funds for that. And some of our family support programs are not funded by the state. And so we use a lot of SCARC Foundation funds to support families. We also provide, we have some special provisions where we would provide for, in partnership with Karen Quinlan's Center for Hospice, we would provide for end-of-life care for our individuals. So if someone needs to use hospice services and they live with us in one of our group homes, we have the opportunity of funds to pay for those services. So we try to provide support for our folks who live with us, live in our homes, and come to our centers as much as we can. And so we're always willing to meet the needs of families. A lot of families come to us and they need a wheelchair, they need some adaptive equipment, or they need certain pieces of equipment in order to better care for their child. We would be able to provide financial support for those kinds of things. And we would work with the family to take advantage of other insurances or Medicaid or things like that in order to provide whatever the individual needs. We're very person-centered in the sense that we assess the needs of all of our individuals, and we aim to meet those needs. SCARC supplements our services with various therapies, physical and occupational therapy. We have used the services of J&B therapy out of Branchville, and we also employ a dietitian, a registered dietitian, a nutritionist who works with us to develop special diets as they might be necessary. We have, out of our 100 people that live in our group homes, we probably have 40 different specialized diets that people need. So whether it's a gluten-free diet, whether it's a dairy-free diet, whether it's some kind of protein-related diet and dietary needs. So our dietitian spends much of her time, it's a part-time dietitian, but spends much of her time in our residential programs developing specialized menus for staff to use in preparing meals. And so there's a lot of training that is involved in the implementation of nutritional guidelines for a lot of our people. We have a lot of people with allergies, various allergies, and we have a lot of people with special diets. We also have a number of people, probably all of our people are using some kind of prescribed medications to treat certain issues in their life. So we're constantly monitoring medication usage and medication dispensing by our staff, and we're constantly tracking that on a daily basis. So each individual has individual needs, and each of the individuals need individual care. We get involved in many agencies that are either in the county or are available to SCARC. So for example, we have two individuals who live in our residential programs that are blind. And so we are involved with the Commission for the Blind and the services of the State Commission and other kinds of entities that assist people with visual impairments and blindness. We are involved in some agencies related to orthopedic disabilities. So we have a number of people at SCARC who use wheelchairs and who have other specialized equipment. And so we engage those agencies to help us with keeping equipment appropriate and tailored to individual needs. Our people that are in our group homes that use wheelchairs, for example, those wheelchairs are very specially created for that particular person. They're very expensive. They're power chairs, and they have need for maintenance and that kind of thing. So we link up with the Matheny school system, Matheny school service provider, where people might come to service wheelchairs or other equipment, provide orthotic evaluations and things like that are needed. We are involved in diabetes management with healthcare providers. We're actively involved in the services of the Newton Medical Center, for example, and other medical centers. So there are some medical centers like the Trinitas Hospital Center in Elizabeth that specialize in medication reviews and medication changes and transitioning between medications. And so we use their services as well. So we are happy that we are able to focus on the individual needs that people have. We have, we used to think in our field, we used to think that all people with disabilities are very similar, and so they can be treated as a group. But in reality, people with disabilities are individuals. They're individual people, and they have individual needs. They have individual interests and hobbies and talents. And we at SCARC, we accentuate a person's abilities and talents and interests in the choices of their activities. And we try our best to adhere to an individual's choice of activity and within the purview of what we're able to provide. So that's a pretty brief overview of SCARC. And I would say that on the chat board is our contact information. I would be happy to be the initial contact of anybody who sees this lunch and learn session. And my phone number is there, and you're welcome to make a contact. And I will then probably forward you on to the appropriate staff within SCARC as to your interest and as to your need. Lastly, I might add that because SCARC is a Medicaid provider and we're under the jurisdiction of Medicaid rules, and which comes to within state government, that occurs in the Division of Medical Assistance within the Department of Human Services. The Division of Developmental Disabilities that used to oversee all of our services now require that anyone who takes advantage of services provided by the division have to be Medicaid eligible, because the payment for the service, the way in which we get our funds to pay staff and to pay facility costs and transportation costs and so on, is all Medicaid. It's underwritten by Medicaid. So individuals that are living with us and involved with our adult programs are all Medicaid eligible individuals with bona fide developmental disabilities. So there are some aspects of SCARC that are not Medicaid funded, and so we don't fall into those rules, like Special Olympics activities. If somebody lives at home and wants to get involved in the SCARC Special Olympics swimming activities, for example, and the aquatics activities, then they can come and do that and be part of SCARC. But most all of SCARC's services, residential services, day program services, most of the family support services are free to families because they're Medicaid funded. And as all Medicaid services, you can't charge additional funds for Medicaid. So anyway, I hope that I answered all your questions, and I would look forward to talking with you and meeting anybody who wants to call us to ask about our services. And I'm excited to represent SCARC in the Sussex County community. So thanks, Patricia, for hosting today's Lunch and Learn and for inviting me to be a part of it.
Thank you, Richard. And definitely, we are very happy to have you here. And we know that a lot of families are going to benefit from the information that you're sharing today with us. And Richard, I have a question in relation to the process of getting involved with SCARC. How long does it take?
It varies, of course, but let's suppose somebody wants to be part of our group home network. So they would first need to be eligible for Medicaid funds, and that is usually done through the Division of Developmental Disabilities. So a family would contact the initial contact would, well, even if they called SCARC, we would help the family make the right contact. But generally what happens is a person would contact a Division of Developmental Disabilities field office, which for us is the field office, the closest one to us is in Flanders, and they would contact a caseworker there or an intake worker, and there would be a period of time of determining the person's eligibility for Medicaid funds. Once the person is, and that can happen, that can start even when the child is still in school, under the age of 21, you can still contact the division for determination of eligibility. But the division's services start at age 21. So after a person is eligible for Medicaid services, then and if SCARC has a vacancy, for example, in our residential programs, which we normally don't have vacancies very often. So then a referral would be made to SCARC for a residential placement. At the same time, though, the division will send that referral out to many other agencies, either in the Sussex County area or in the northern New Jersey area. And so it might take a matter of a few months to do that. We just had a family recently who did a lot of the work ahead of time with her daughter's school district in Sparta. And the daughter finished her school year in June and started her attendance at a SCARC day program right in July. And so that was one of the fastest transition times that I have experienced.
Wow. No, and that's why I'm asking you that question, because I want families and also providers to understand that there is a process, and that process might take time. So for them to kind of, if they have any question or they are not sure what to do next, to just give a call to your office and get in contact with someone in there, and the person is going to be able to explore what the family's needs are, and then you guys take it from there, right?
That's true. So you can either ask for me, or even if you call our general number, which I put on the chat board, we will be able to refer that call to one of a number of appropriate people here.
And if I just gonna repeat the number in here, because in case if somebody has any question, the phone number is 973-383-7442. And the website for SCARC is scarc.org. So you guys have that information right in the chat, and that information also is gonna be in the video. Richard, because you guys have a lot of programs, services, resources, I'm sure you guys are going to be receiving a lot of calls, because you guys go from residential program, day program, family support, Respite, recreational program, and guardianship. So you guys are covering a lot of areas in relation to most of the families.
There's a lot of activity going on every day at SCARC.
Yeah, I see.
We're happy to provide our services.
And we are very happy that, Richard, you took the time to do this lunch and learn with us, because we know that a lot of families are sometimes with questions or not knowing who to call about a specific service. At least they have that information in here right from you. So thank you very much. We really appreciate that.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's been a real pleasure.
And Richard, before we conclude, any final thoughts that you would like to share in here with us?
Well, I have a final thought, sure. We know that families have had to fight for services for their children all their life. And we continually meet families who tell us about how they fought for services, and they fought for the best services for their children and for their adults. We frequently hear from families who have an adult child, how they've had to fight with the schools all their life. They've had to fight for the appropriate educational services. Younger children say how they have had to fight for preschool services and things like that. So parents come to us, and they're usually have a history of fighting and advocating for their child and for their child's best welfare. So we're used to dealing with families who are fighters and who want the best. And we want to accommodate that and make that happen here at SCARC.
Thank you for sharing that thought with us. And I just want to remind everybody that this Lunch and Learn is brought to you by family partners of Morris and Sussex counties. And if you guys have any questions about any of the topics that we are discussing in here, or you would like any information about family partners, you can reach out to this phone number, 973-940-3194. And the website from Family Partners is right there below this video. Is familypartnersms.org. And like I said, Richard's contact information, 973-383-7442. And the website, like I mentioned before, is SCARC.org. And finally, I just want to thank every single person for being here and also for continue watching the video and reaching out to us in relation to their family's needs. Thank you, everybody. And now it's time for Q&A.